Rodri to Barcelona will change football and the trajectory of 4 clubs and 2 leagues. Hear me out. First of all, guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Aiden. I'm a massive Barcelona fan, a massive football fan. I'm here to make content about Barcelona, the Premier League, just the world of football in general. And today I'm going to be talking about how I think that Rodri going to Barcelona will completely change the trajectory of football from now on. So, it's one of those things, right, where this is a massive signing, obviously for Barcelona. A lot of people talking about how this is a really big thing for them. It's going to be the push to bring Barcelona, my club, to potentially winning the Champions League. But I actually think that this move is a lot more than just that. I think this move has massive impacts across the whole of football. First of all, I think it has a negative impact on Manchester City. Obviously, right? But let me go into depth with it. So, Manchester City have been one of the greatest clubs of the 21st century. If you look at English football, they're one of the absolute mammoths. And the last 10, 15 years, they have been incredible. And particularly the last 5 years, in my opinion, their most important player, along with Erling Haaland, has been Rodri. Looking at this season now, moving forward, they've lost Pep Guardiola, obviously. They've lost Bernardo Silva, and now they've lost Rodri. In my opinion, if they manage to keep Rodri, even though they have a change of manager and they're losing one of the greatest managers of all time, in my opinion, the greatest, I think they would have still been in contention to still have a pretty good season and potentially go for something, right? But I think losing Rodri has just completely written off any of their chances of trying to contend for the title and go for a bunch of trophies. I think that Rodri leaving is a real indication that they are truly in a rebuild, and it's going to take them a lot of time to finally, find some replacements and find their feet again. And moving on to the Premier League as well, I think this is huge for the Premier League in general because, as I said, they're losing one of their main title contenders for the last 15 years. But I think it also cements Arsenal's position as being the favourite for the title by far. I think Rodri leaving, as I said, making Man City worse, has just guaranteed that Arsenal are going to win. At the end of the day, Arsenal's main competitors over the last few seasons have been Manchester City. There was that one year where Liverpool won it over them, but it's always been Man City, right? And I think now that they're going to feel comfortable. Imagine being in Arsenal position. You have just seen your biggest rival's best player leave. It's just great. I think that's going to be massive for them. And I just think for the Premier League, it's just basically cemented the end of an era for the Premier League too. Guys, what world-class players are there in the Premier League other than Erling Haaland, really? I mean, it's Bruno Fernandes, Declan Rice, Gabriel, Saliba, you could say. But, real superstars in the Premier League, it's Erling Haaland. And it used to be Rodri as one of them too. And now Rodri's gone. So I think it's just gone to show this sort of decline in the Premier League recently. And I think that it's a big topic to talk about. You look at how they kind of got embarrassed, England in general in the Champions League last season. And it just goes to show the sort of declining qualities. But, yeah. And moving on to Spain now, although Rodri signing for Barcelona is massive for Barcelona, I actually think it's more impactful on Real Madrid than Barcelona in a negative way. I think the team that, is most impacted by Rodri joining Barcelona is actually Real Madrid. The reason I say that is because I think that Real Madrid's problem over the last few seasons, as you guys know, they've been trophyless for the last 2 years. Their biggest problem, in my opinion, has been their midfield. They've had completely dysfunctional midfields. They keep getting run through. Every time it's El Clasico or just other big games, it's their midfield that lets them down, in my opinion. And I think that Rodri going to Real Madrid would have potentially been the one thing that could have fixed that. They have a lot of things to do, just their general structure and their function, and they do have Jose Mourinho coming in, which I'm sure will make it a bit better, but Rodri would have single-handedly fixed a lot of their control issues there, guys. They have good players in midfield. Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, but none of them can really control the tempo of a game. And Rodri would have come in and instantly fixed that. So I think that them missing out on Rodri is actually huge for, moving forward for them. I think this basically guarantees that once again they're going to struggle in all competitions, the La Liga, the Champions League, the Cups as well, because Rodri's a big game player. He's won, the player of the tournament for the last Euros and World Cup. When it comes to the big moments, Rodri is massive and he's important. And I think that Real Madrid losing out on someone of Rodri's quality for those big games is going to really hurt them. So yeah, I think that is actually a terrible, terrible thing for Real Madrid. If they managed to get him, I honestly would have been hands up. I think Real Madrid actually have a chance to do well. But because they haven't, I think they're going to struggle. And of course, last but not least, moving on to Barcelona. This is just massive. Huge for Barcelona, right? I'm a Barcelona fan. I've been watching them my whole life, basically. And I can't remember the last time we signed someone this impactful, other than maybe Suarez, you could say. It's just incredible. I still can't believe it. We have just signed a Ballon d'Or winner, the person who's coming fresh off as the best player at the World Cup. He's only 30 years old. You know, he's not young, but he's still like at his potential prime. I just cannot wait to see what he's going to do. I think Rodri is something that can honestly make that extra push for Barcelona and us to go through and win the Champions League. I think that he instantly elevates the whole team purely with his presence and being on the field. Rodri is one of a kind, right? He's one of the greatest sixes of all time. You can make the argument between him and Busquets and other players. I won't make those arguments today, but I do think he's, an all-timer, and he instantly raises the ceiling. Guys, our midfield is going to be potentially Rodri, Pedri, and Dani Olmo, or Firmino, depending on who's on form on the day. That is just incredible. It's going to be so hard for any team in the world, including the best teams, PSG, Bayern Munich, to get the ball off the Barcelona midfield. With Rodri there, with Pedri alongside him, it's going to be just crazy. You've probably seen that meme where it's like, Pedri, Rodri, like that meme of like that commentator thing. It's going to be crazy. And I've seen a lot of people sort of criticizing the move and saying that at the World Cup, Pedri and Rodri didn't play well alongside each other, which is true, because for the Spain system under De La Fuente, Rodri and Pedri kind of played the same role. So Spain got better, you could say, when Pedri was dropped and Fabian Ruiz played alongside Rodri. But I think that's completely different, right? I think that under Hansi Flick, he'll find a way for it to work. The system isn't the same, right? He's going to find a way. And I think with them together, Pedri and Rodri, and a third player being there, no matter who it is, I think it's going to be absolute cinema, guys. And I think, not only does he make the team better, but I think he also allows the team to function better. And it just adds more depth. Guys, our midfield depth, Rodri, Pedri, De Jong, Bernal, Gavi, Firmino, Olmo. We have 7 world-class midfielders right there. And so not only does this allow the team to be better on its day with the starting lineup, but it allows our players to have rest. One of the big problems with Pedri last season was he kept getting injured. And the reason why is because he had to play every single game and every single minute because of how good he is. Now, guys, there's the option for if Pedri's, being a bit unfit or he's not fully fit and kind of potentially feeling some discomfort, we can drop Pedri and we can allow Rodri to do his role, which he usually does. And we have other players alongside now. Rodri just adds a lot of depth to the team that I think is really important. And I think it's going to have a massive impact on Barcelona maintaining all their players throughout the season. And building on that topic too, obviously Rodri is world-class, one of the best players in the world, one of the best midfielders in the world. I think that also allows other players, not just midfielders, to rest. For example, you can go into a La Liga game with playing Rodri and 2 other young La Masia players in midfield, and you can also probably rotate your starting strikers and wingers. You can probably still win the game purely off Rodri being there. So not only does Rodri allow players like Pedri to have rest, but he also allows your attackers to have rest. You might be able to rest Lamine Yamal for some games because you know that you've got a metronome, a giant, being Rodri playing in the middle of the field. You can rest the rest of your players. One of the biggest problems for Barcelona recently in the Champions League has been the injuries, right? Obviously the red cards and stuff, but the injuries have been a massive part. We've gone into our biggest games of the seasons, the Inter Milan 2 seasons ago and Atletico Madrid last season in the Champions League, with key players out, Rafinha, Koundé, Balde. If we can actually give our better players more rest throughout the season because we have someone like Rodri there, that changes everything. Having our best players in the biggest moments is what matters. And I will say as well, another big thing I think people aren't talking about is how much better Kubasi can potentially be having Rodri in the team. Obviously, they played together throughout the World Cup and they were just absolutely amazing. Kubasi looked the best he's ever looked, as a player so far. And I think him being there is going to be such a massive thing with Kubasi. Kubasi now has someone in front of him he can rely on to be a potential, guaranteed ball winner, guaranteed cycle. He's going to have that support that he knows he can get from Rodri at Spain. I think that will raise Kubasi's level. And one of the big things as well that I think is really important to note out is how much of a difference having Rodri there is going to be for Marc Bernal's development. A lot of people are complaining, saying that Marc Bernal won't play as much, he's bad for his development. But guys, he has Rodri, one of the best sixes of all time, to learn off and have as a role model. That is huge for someone like Bernal. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I just wanted to make this quick video just to talk about why I think that this signing is huge for football. I think it's going to change the trajectory of 4 different clubs, right? As I said, it's negative for Man City and for Real Madrid, and it's positive for Barcelona and for Arsenal. And I think it completely changes how the Premier League and the La Liga are going to go. And I think it could also impact the Champions League. I think Barcelona with Rodri could win the Champions League. That is a huge thing to say. And yeah, I just think that it's really important to point out how momentous this signing is. It's not very often that you get a player in his prime going to another club for a decent fee. It's just, I don't know, guys. It's just crazy to think about for me that we actually managed to pull off Rodri. This is just huge. But yeah, anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this little rant. I kind of just yapped about this. There's not really any structure to this video. I just wanted to sort of talk about it. I made a quick, like, 60-second version of it on my TikTok and Instagram. If you guys want to check it out, please check it out. It's at AidenFCB on Instagram and at AidenJBC8 on TikTok. But yeah, I post a lot of Barcelona content. And for the rest of the season, I'll be also posting a lot of content, guys. I'm going to review every single game, just review any other news that comes up for Barcelona. And I'll also do some like general Premier League predictions and reviews and stuff as well. So yeah, guys, feel free to check out my content. You know, follow the my social media, subscribe, like, share, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks, guys. Take care.